everybody, it's Georgia Rose from Zancuda, and welcome to the Soul Space tonight. I am here every Monday at 7 p.m. I hope you'll join us. We have a great community, and Soul Space is your place to get a little zen every week. We actually usually have a guest on. Tonight I don't have a guest, but we usually do, and our guests are everything above the five senses, beyond the five senses, all kinds of things. Next week, we're actually going to be doing a drum circle right here in the studio, so you'll want to tune in live if you have drums or any kind of musical instruments at home you want to play with us. Definitely do that. And on December 20th, I'm going to have Phoenix Green on. Phoenix has been on the show before talking about the vibration of the universe and some things with the Schumann resonance. This time around, we're going to actually do a special holiday show that is going to be about your pets and pet energy during the holidays and things like that. We want to give a little bit of Reiki to our pets. So I am going to share the show. For those of you who are regulars, you know I always have to do this. Getting a little feedback in my mic, Bobby. I don't know if that's something you guys can hear. Maybe not. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I hope you guys will call into the show. Number should be on the screen. If it's not there, it'll be on there shortly. And that'll definitely, our phone number is 516-945-9099. I actually remembered it right this time, I think. So hopefully you guys will be able to come in. So we are live now. So hopefully you'll all come on and share the show if you can. So Bobby, my producer, is in here. We're looking at something. Everything okay? He's testing this out. I'm going to bring him on camera one time. We're going to read him because he's always buzzing around the studio doing everything. Okay, so let's get down to biz. So tonight I want to talk about compatibility in relationships as far as your zodiac sign. I thought that would be a really interesting topic. But I've been thinking a lot about relationships lately. I don't know, maybe it's just my own life or whatever. I'm not really sure, but I have been thinking about relationships a little bit lately. And one of the things that I was thinking about a lot with relationships is power. And I think that might be because in the cosmos right now we have so many transits that are about power and the distribution of power, and especially power in our relationships. And Venus is retrograde this month. It's going to actually be retrograde till March. And when Venus is retrograde, we start to really evaluate our values in life, the things we value, how we bring value to the world, and things like that. And as a result of that, it changes our power dynamic sometimes, not just in our relationship, but also within ourselves. So it's really interesting when we have that kind of a transit. And so tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about that, and also why I have so much trouble sharing this show every week. It's just a real rough thing to do. So I wanted to talk about that, and I also wanted to talk about those power dynamics in relationship to your zodiac signs. So if any of you have questions about your compatibility with other zodiac signs or in a relationship in your life, call the number on the screen. We're going to talk about that. So one of the things that I actually was thinking about was that, I'm sharing the show to everywhere now. One of the things I was thinking about as far as relationships and power dynamics and things is the nodes of the moon are going into Scorpio and Taurus, and I talked about that a lot on the show recently. I actually talked about it a lot in my live event too, and that nodes of the moon changing really changes the dynamic of the energy. And Taurus is a very resourceful sign. Taurus is a sign of growth and resources and using our resources and trying to use different resources in our life. And then Scorpio, the opposite sign of the zodiac, is very much about diving deep, finding truth. Scorpions are the detectives of the zodiac. They like to, dig for the truth, even in their own self, and do shadow work and things like that. So Scorpios are very powerful. Scorpio is the sign of transformation. So Scorpio is the power of transformation, and then Taurus is the resourcefulness and using things that we have to be more resourceful and more powerful. So I was thinking about how that's going to play out in the next 18 months in our relationships. And I think the way that's going to play out is the balance between our power or another person's power and resources. our own resources and that other person's resources. And I was thinking about this a lot, and I came to the conclusion that isn't that really the dynamic of all relationships? It's power versus resources and fitting them together. Like, where are you strong and the other person maybe has a resource that amplifies that or strengthens that even further? Or where do you have a weakness or a crack in your own foundation and you can use someone else's resources to help you? And isn't that the dynamic of how the world goes around? Sort of like that infinity symbol of resources and power, and resource and power. And you have to draw on a resource to find your power, and vice versa. We want to give our resources to someone we see at a detriment to help them be more powerful. And in taking that a step further, where do we have resources that we can bring to the world to make other people more powerful, to make things more powerful in a loving way? And where do we have weaknesses that maybe we have to open more in order to allow another person's resources to help us fill that and ask for help or nurture ourselves in a way that we can utilize the assets of another person and their own resources and have that melding? Because I think one of the things that is very powerful in relationships is the give and take and the natural balance of energy. And what happens is sometimes we're givers and we think, oh, we give so much in this relationship. Why didn't it work? I gave my heart and soul. But the question sometimes is, did you allow yourself to receive? Because the person on the other end, the other, also needs to be able to give to you. And if that power dynamic is off balance, the relationship will fail, because inevitably the other who is not being allowed to give because you're not receiving, you're not allowing yourself to receive, you're always on the giving end, they're going to come up shortchanged as well. So, kind of reverse the tape and see when you start looking at relationships in your life, because the next 18 months or so, we're going to be really looking at those dynamics, and especially between now and March, like 3rd, while Venus is retrograde in Capricorn, we're really going to be looking at our relationship dynamics and where the power is and where the weak spots are and what we really value and what we really bring to the table that is valuable. And in doing that, we have to open ourselves to maybe one of our weak areas is we don't allow ourselves to receive. And when we don't allow ourselves to receive, we shortchange the other in that beautiful feeling of giving to you. So sometimes it's not always about us, right? Sometimes we think we're giving and giving, but are we allowing the other person to give as well? And I think that's a really appropriate message, especially now as Christmas time comes in. Because, how many times you ask someone in your life, oh, what do you want for Christmas? And they say, oh, nothing. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. Well, you want to give them something. It's a terrible, frustrating feeling when you don't get to do that. So try not to say, oh, I don't nothing. I don't need anything. Say something, even if it's, what I would really just love to spend a quiet dinner with you because we never get to do that. Or allow someone to really give to you. So I'm going to go to my comments now. I've got a lot of people over here. I got Janine. Hey, Janine. John C. Hi from the UK. Hey, John. How are you all doing over there with COVID and everything? Joanna Myers watching. I got Sarah on here. I'm going to be doing a reading for one of Sarah's family members shortly. And I just want to make sure the show is shared on my own page, Georgia Rose Zenkuda. Going to go there, throw the link on. I don't see that there. We're going to wait a few minutes for that to come up. And then also I'm going to talk a little bit about some compatibilities with astrology signs. And yeah, I don't know why. I always have trouble on this iPad of finding my stuff. But whatever. We'll figure it out. So, Bobby's climbing around the studio again. You hear that? The whole day today has just been incredibly crazy, I have to say. Some days you just get days like that. Okay. Here I am. Okay, so whenever you think about your compatibility with zodiac, I feel like I'm so off tonight. That eclipse that we had on December 4th, I have to tell you, it knocked me for a loop. I literally slept about 10 hours Saturday night, or Saturday night and Sunday night. So I don't know how you guys felt that eclipse, but if you have anything to contribute to that, let me know, because the eclipse knocked me on my butt. So whenever we think about compatibility in astrology, the first thing I look at when someone comes to me and says, what is the best sign for me? What am I going to have a love relationship with? What is my soulmate? Whatever. The first thing I look at is what element their sign is. Because in astrology, we have air, water, earth, and fire. And those are all the 4 elements that we have in the zodiac, obviously all together in the universe. And when you look at the elements that a sign is, it gives you a lot of information about how they're going to kind of act in life and what they're going to perceive in relationship. So I'm going to run through that really quickly with you guys. Fire signs, that's Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Fire signs, everyone always thinks that fire signs are go, 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 really powerful. They're the initiators, they're the starters. Fire is combustible, it erupts, it's powerful. But the thing people don't realize about fire signs is they need rest. And a lot of times in a relationship, if you're not a fire sign and you're dating a fire sign or you're married to a fire sign, you won't realize that. You put a lot on them because they have so much energy. Like Aries, for instance, is always in motion. They charge in. They like to do a lot of things. They're very alpha, whether they're a male or female. And we'll have a tendency to, think they're always going to keep going. But they need rest. And the reason why fire signs need rest is because they burn themselves out. There's so much fire in the signs usually and they're so used to going through, think of a forest fire, going through and consuming all the trees. At some point that fire almost starts to dwindle out on its own, hopefully, but usually, because it can only go so far. We all have only a certain amount of energy. So fire signs need breaks. So if you have a fire sign in your life and you want to get closer to them, sometimes it's really nice to actually light a fire either in the backyard or a fire pit or in the fireplace at home and sit with them because they love being around fire. It's their natural element. However, they also need to have some nurturing. They need to have that restfulness. They need to have the peacefulness that we can have, right? Fire signs give, they nourish, they have a lot of warmth. But don't forget, if they really go on a rampage because they get frustrated because they're not getting enough rest or they're not getting fed that nourishment as well, fire signs can consume, they can destroy, they can erupt, they can be very angry. So the way to calm a fire sign is actually not to throw water on it. Fire signs just want rest. They want to just sit with someone and engage, right? Fire likes warmth. It likes to have things near and close by. So just remember that. And when you think about the elements that we are, think about what that element really is in real physical life. And that'll give you a lot of insight into the signs. Aries is a cardinal fire. And by that we mean it starts things. Cardinal signs are the signs that start the seasons. Aries starts spring, right? So when Aries comes in and it's a cardinal sign, cardinal fire, it is a starter. It likes to start a lot of things. But the thing with Aries is they're not really great at finishing things because they combust and burn out very quickly. So a good sign that's compatible with Aries would be somebody, say, like a Virgo or a Taurus. Even though they're an earth sign and fire can scorch earth, sometimes earth signs do well with Aries because they need to finish things. And that tenacity of that earth sign will come in and finish what the Aries has started. So it's really interesting to think about that. Because Aries is a cardinal sign, they're extremely impulsive and given to outburst. So it's good for them to be with someone who's a little serene sometimes. Leos are fixed fire. So think of that king of the jungle, that lion, that Leo fire energy is going to be more of a fixed energy. It doesn't burn out of control so quickly. Leos are your helpers. They're your nurturers. Leos do like to be on teams and be in a pack as long as they're the authority and they're the leader. Leos are natural born leaders. But Leos, unlike an Aries fire sign, follows through. They're more stable. So they're also determined. But the one thing about Leo being a fixed fire sign, think of fire just contained, burning, 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 an eternal flame. That's a Leo. So if you do anything to embarrass a Leo, it's over. They will never see you in the same light ever again. Leos have so much pride and so much fire just burning, burning, burning endlessly that it's a strong flame. And that flame of ego within them does not like anybody to show them up or embarrass them or reveal anything they don't want to be revealed. Once you do that, that's it with Leo. So a sign that's probably not so compatible with Leo is maybe a Sagittarius, even though that's also a fire sign. Saggies dig for the truth, and they like to reveal things, and Sagittarius people blurt stuff out. So sometimes they can wound a Leo, and once you wound a Leo, that lion ain't coming back to your jungle. So, and then of course you have Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the fire sign that is mutable, and the mutable fire sign is actually the easiest to get along with because it will take on the shape and the attributes of things that are around it. But the thing about the Saggies is, while all of the fire signs are very passionate and inspirational, Saggies use their inspiration to find wisdom. So they're a little bit more intellectual than your other fire signs. And Saggies are also someone who is the dreamer of the zodiac. So it's really important for a Sagittarius to have someone who believes in them. So if you have a Sag in your life, make sure every once in a while you really ask them about their hopes, their wishes, their dreams, and listen really closely because they love engagement. All fire signs love to be engaged. You know, fire loves to consume and nourish and feel that hot, spicy flame, right? So with Sagittarians, if you sit down, you speak to them, and especially if you speak of higher learning or truth, or you speak about their hopes and dreams and wishes and show them that you really believe in them, they'll love you for life. They're never leaving you. That's all a Sagittarian needs, really, seriously. They're fire, and they're spicy, and they're passionate, but Saggies burn slower. You know, the Aries fire is boom, here I am. You know, they're going to come at you. You know, in a sexual encounter, Aries are going to be all about the animal lust, the animal instinct. Leos are going to be more controlling, more a little bit dominating, but more passionate and inspired by your reaction to them because they like the egoic lift. Saggies are all about equality, passion, fire. They're really social creatures. You know, they're the ones that you can't drag out of the party early because they'll resent you for it. So those are the Saggies. So I'm going to look at my comments, if any of you have comments about your specific. Deneen says, so true. Hi, Sarah. Leo here. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? King of the jungle. I was married to a double Leo for many years, and I can tell you he definitely was a leader, but he had a couple other things going on. But he was someone who I used to always joke around, it's his world and I'm just in it, you know? So that's how Leos can be if they're not evolved. But Leos are very passionate creatures, a lot of fire. Aaron Bartles is watching. How are you doing, Aaron? You're an Aries, heavy Aries in your chart, so I know you're like, woohoo. So then we have the element of water. And our water signs are Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. Now, water signs get along with everybody, except some signs are more prevalent than others. I'm going to go back to fire for a minute because I didn't really talk too much about what signs are best with the fire signs, which are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Fire signs, I always write notes because when I'm on air I get a little nervous and I forget things. So fire signs, you know, think about fire. I always say go to the physical attribute of the element to see what it will be good with. Fire likes to burn, fire likes to travel, right? Fire does not always like to stay in the same place unless you're Leo fire, that's fixed energy. But fire can be used to consume or it can be used to destroy. But think about the other elements, water, air, earth. Which do you think would go best with fire? Well, not water, right? A lot of times if you have a match with a fire-water dynamic, the fire sign feels very diluted by water. It won't be long before they're bored. They don't feel like you're having any fun because, you know, this keeps putting a damper on my parade, you know. So fire signs would not get along good with water signs. What are our water signs? Our water signs are Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. So Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpios would probably not do the best with fire signs, but of course, there's always other anomalies because you have to look at the whole chart. We're being very general tonight. But think about it. If you were a fire sign, would you want to hang out with water? Probably not. However, it may work for you if you're an Aries who's really impulsive. You've got a lot of Aries in your chart. You might need some water to balance you. So it really depends on the whole chart. But generally speaking, fire and water usually don't have long-term relationships. It usually fizzles out. And think about it. Water's not going to really like fire either. Water likes to flow and go where it wants to go. It doesn't want a fire on the shore, right? So when we think about the elements, you can see how it really helps you figure out if you're going to get along with your mate or not. So we're going to go to the water signs. So the water signs are Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. Think about water and what they would get along with. What does water like to do? Well, water likes to flow where it wants to go, right? So water probably wouldn't like earth too much because it's going to put a dam in front of it, right? Water would probably get along with other water because they'd be able to go wherever they want to go and do whatever they want to do. But relationships where there's a water sign and a water sign, most of the time there's no boundaries. They're just in each other's stuff and out of each other's stuff and in everybody's stuff and water and water and water, you know. Water's very creative, so it might not like to be with an earth sign that's very staid and not moving too much. What else is water? Water, we can see through it, right? Water, we can see through water. We can see, if we hold up a glass of water, we can see through it. It's a little diluted, a little much of an illusion, but those are signs like Pisces, for instance. Pisces is a very Neptunian, delusional, illusion, steeped in a fantasy sign. You think about moving through the water, right? So, but for the most part, you can see through water. So waters are your signs that are deeper. They see things that other people don't see. So they don't get along well with purely intellectual signs. So water signs usually don't get along mostly with air signs. They'll get along with some earth signs and they'll get along with other water signs. And they'll sometimes do okay with fire if that water sign needs a little pep in their step. But air and water, not so good. Why? Well, think about it. When you're underwater, you can't breathe. So air in water, not too good. It's going to feel stifled. It's going to feel like it's choking. It's going to feel overwhelmed. And water, when it comes to air, it can't relate. It can't mingle with it, right? You're going to have bubbles. You're going to have a pocket, but you're not going to have any kind of interaction, right? And water wants to go where it wants to go, right? If you ever had a flood in your basement, you know you ain't stopping it. Water's going to go wherever it wants to go. So it's not going to like something that's going to put them in their place or make them feel very staid. Fire signs feel like water dilutes them. Water feels air is too intellectual. It's just, it can't relate to it. You know, the air is up here and the water's here and the water's seeing through things that they can see deeply and connect, and air's just hanging around, right? But water cultivates the earth. If you think about water and earth, some earth signs don't like to be near water because it might be saturated, it might be too much, but usually water and earth get along okay. Because think about it, you water your flowers and your plants and the earth takes that water and generates it into nourishment, right? Earth keeps water grounded also. If it's not something that's going to be a dam in front of it and it's not too earthly, then earth and water get together really well because the water needs grounding. It needs a containment of some kind to be like a lake or whatever. So water signs, Cancers, Pisces, and Scorpios get along with your earth signs. Your earth signs are your Virgo, your Taurus, and why am I going blank right now? I'll tell you, this whole day is just not a good day for me. Oh, Taurus, Virgo, and of course Capricorn. How could I forget Cappies? I love my Cappies. So my mind keeps doing woo-woo today. I don't know. We all have days like that. See, I'm not an angel as many of you thought. I'm actually human. So getting back to the water signs. So we have Cancer, which is a cardinal water, because Cancer starts summer, right? Our cardinal signs start a season. So Cancers are the crab. You know, they're born in water. They live in tidal water, so they're used to coming up and down with the tide. Cancers are the most loving creatures. They have beautiful big hearts, but they're very, very sensitive. So if you have anyone in your, realm that's a Cancer, you don't want to insult them, or if they feel they're being attacked or put down in any way, they go into their shell and they don't come out for a long time. So that cardinal water really wants to be with a sign that's more nurturing. It's not going to want to be with, like, say, an Aries, who's a very impulsive, very, fiery, very, controlling type of sign. It's going to want, a Cancerian's going to want to be with someone who's a little more nurturing, So if they're going to be with a fire sign, it may be more like a Sagittarius, who's a social creature and a little bit more mutable. Pisces, that water sign that wants to connect with everything. Pisces is the radio antenna of, like, they pick up every energy in the world. So a Pisces is going to want to have to be with someone who gets them, someone who understands their need for dreaming and fantasy, that they don't have a lot of boundaries. So if you are one of the signs that is all about boundaries and all about balance and all about reality, and you're very, stable in earth, then Pisces isn't really going to want to be with that, because they need the chance to fly around the zodiac and get all their juju on, And then Scorpio is our fixed water. So Pisces is the mutable water, and Scorpio is the fixed water. Scorpio is a very unique water sign. Scorpio is guarded water. It is it uses water to surround it and protect it. Think of Scorpio as being the castle with the moat. That's how Scorpio utilizes water. Scorpio is a ride or die energy, though. If Scorpio feels that they are going to love you and there is a reciprocity there, they will fiercely love you, and they'll be ride or die with you. But the minute that you are not deep with them, you're superficial with them, they are completely uninterested in you. So if you are dating or married to a Scorpio, every once in a while you got to have those deep dive soul-based talks with them, or do something really soul-based with them, or they're just going to blow you off because they want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Scorpios will see through bullshit a mile away, and if you're a bullshitter, they're just going to be totally uninterested in you as a person. They're going to pretend you don't exist. They're going to turn their tail on you, and that's going to be that. So Scorpios like to be with a sign as a fixed water sign. Scorpio would want to be more with either a fire sign, even though fire and water do not always mix. Scorpio would be the anomaly with that, because Scorpio likes to go so deep, and they're a sign of transformation. And one of the things that fire does is when it burns, it transforms whatever it has burned. So that would go well with Scorpio. But Scorpio is probably the only water sign that you have a chance as a fire sign of really being okay with. Other than that, I would say most of your water signs are good with some earth. And also, I think that earth and earth is good. But I think water and air, not so good. No, not so good. So earth signs: Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn all have one thing in common, and that's that they're very stable. Their earth signs are very, set in their ways. I don't want to use the word stubborn, but yeah, they are. An earth sign is someone who, if they're home on the couch, they're not getting off the couch if they don't want to. I don't care how dressed up you are and you're supposedly going to dinner. If they're watching TV and that's where they want to be, they ain't going. By the same token, if an earth sign wants to go to dinner, everybody in the house better get up and brush their teeth and get out of the house, because you're going to dinner. Earth signs are very controlling in a very slow, methodical, stable way. Think of the bull, the virgin, and the mountain goat for Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. None of those signs are giving it up or moving too fast, all right? Even the mountain goat, which, if you see them on, TV, they're very fast creatures. They're very sure-footed, but they're not giving up their perch for anybody, So that's the thing to remember with earth signs. If you're someone who likes to change people, if you're someone who likes to be really innovative and futuristic and new, you're probably not going to want to be with an earth sign, because earth signs like the status quo. They like tradition. They like to be steeped in those things. Taurus are your artists, your sensual, not in the sense of sexual, sensual in the sense of feeling this velvety thing, soft hair, getting a massage. Those are Taurian type of things that they love to do. Taurus people are committed. Think of the bull, right? When a bull is set and standing, you're not pushing that bull over and you're not moving him if he doesn't want to go. So they're very committed. They're very committed people. Most of your long-term marriages are with Taurus people. A Taurus is lower energy. They can be indulgent. They can be lazy. So if you're someone who has no patience for that, like if you're an Aries fire sign, you're probably not going to do well with a Taurus, right? The ram and the bull, not a good thing. Virgos are your mutable earth. They are very systematic about the way they approach things. If you tell them something, it better be true, because they are going to sit down and talk to you about an alibi until they understand every single last detail of your alibi. They will reason it out with you. They will investigate it. Virgos, unlike Taurus, though, are open to change because they're the mutable earth. So Virgos are open to change, but in a very slow, steady way. You're never going to rush a Virgo into change. They'll do it in their own time. And then Capricorns are our cardinal earth. They're the take charge, the mountain goat of the zodiac. Capricorns are extremely steeped in tradition. They're very authoritative. They like the company ladder. Capricorns are also people who oftentimes will think of their value in terms of materialism, money, good old-fashioned goods and possessions. That's the way a Capricorn very oftentimes values themselves. So if you're someone who doesn't really think materialistically or doesn't really think, a work ethic where you have goals and really are goal-driven is not your thing, Capricorn's probably not going to be the energy for you. But on a whole, earth signs get along with other earth. However, they're usually not long-term relationships because earth with earth gets bored very quickly. If you think about two immovable objects, right? Two mountains, what are they going to do with each other after the initial meeting in a few days? It's like, okay, well, I'm a mountain. Yeah, I'm a mountain too. All right, what do you want to do? I don't know, I'm a mountain. So that doesn't really work a lot of times with earth. It's sort of like water and water, like they're really sensitive and really emotional, and like after they've told their stories to each other and they've sympathized and empathized and had a pity party, well, what does water and water do? Not a whole lot, just make more water. And then, so earth gets along with air, all right? The only problem is that air likes to move things, right? You think of the wind or, a hurricane or a tornado. Air moves things. So if you're with earth and air likes to move the earth, sometimes that's not a good thing because the air moving earth means they might be blowing you away or diluting the earth or, making the earth into a dust bowl. So air can be a little bit too much for some earth signs. But then again, a lot of earth signs need the air. They need a little movement in their life. They need someone to stimulate movement. So they may be attracted to an air sign as well. Earth and water sometimes is good, especially if you have an earth sign who's kind of dry. He might really need some water in his life, A combination of that would be like a Taurus and a Pisces. They possibly could balance each other out if they're both very open, because the Taurus will want to be sensual and nurturing and very committed, and the Pisces will kind of be like the wanderer, the boundless energy, so the Taurus can ground them, Earth can ground the water. But your earth signs are your hard workers of the zodiac, so if you like to stay home, get an earth sign. Okay, I'm going to check my comments. I'm being so funny tonight. So Deneen says her greatest loves were Pisces and Aquarius. Deneen, you're an Aries. My past few exes were Aries. But what sign are you, Deneen? I'd like to know. Yeah. Bonnie Crystal's watching. Hey, Bonnie. Yeah, Aaron's a Gemini sun. We're going to get to you right now. And moons and Venus. And Deneen, I need to know your sign, Deneen, so you're getting along with Pisces and Aquarius. You like the watery signs, but Aquarius is air. Joanne says she's a Taurus and all her exes are Pisces. Yeah, so that might work actually, for a little while, and then sometimes the Taurus can be overwhelmed by Piscean energy. Because Pisces, I don't like to say they're crazy because that's a very bad label. Pisces are not crazy. Pisces are just dreamers. Pisces are like connecting, and they're very ethereal, and they're watery, but they're like hard to pin down, and they're like always connected to something, and it might not be what you're connected to, but Pisces are beautiful, beautiful souls. So the air signs. So Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. Libra is your cardinal air, and they like balance. Libras seek their balance through the other, which is their actual mistake in life. Libras are supposed to seek balance within themselves, but they look everywhere else for it. I know, I'm a Libra. It took me about 40 years to figure that out. Air signs breeze through life, okay? Air signs are airy. They're in their head. They're analytical. They're like, woohoo. But Cardinal Air, Libra Cardinal Air is your starter. It starts the fall, right? And Cardinal Air signs are your leaders, your lawyers, because that's scales of justice. They're very sociable. Libras are very funny. They're usually lighthearted, but they can't make a decision. So Librans actually, even though they're air, do pretty well with earth signs because they need balance and stability. They need someone to ground them. Because Librans will sit in a restaurant and look at the menu for like 10 years. They'll never make a decision on what to eat. But if you put them with a Capricorn earth guy who says to them, let me order for you, Librans will love that. Absolutely love that. Gemini is your mutable air. Here we go, Aaron. Mutable air. So mutable air is hard to control in the sense of self-control. Mutable air is, with Gemini, is gossipy. They're social, but they don't want to be that way all the time. They want to control themselves, but they find themselves gossiping about something else or being really social. They're not always serious, but then they beat themselves up for not being serious enough. They definitely, mutable air sign needs grounding. They're a little bit all over the place because what happens with the mutable Gemini is it's air and they're in their heads, but then they'll meet somebody and that person will say something to them or they'll pick something up on the internet or on YouTube and all of a sudden they think that might be the thing. And then they'll meet someone at the bar and they'll say something to them and be like, wait, that might be the thing. Because they're mutable. They're always changing. Think about air. You can't capture air, right? So Geminis do really well, sometimes, believe it or not, with not just earth signs, but sometimes with a water sign because water is heavy, right? And so it weighs the air down, but sometimes a mutable Gemini really needs to have that stability in his life and have a sign that's going to put a damper on him just a little bit. But it's a delicate balance because Geminis are sociable creatures. They love the parties. They love to talk. They're all about communication. And sometimes your water signs don't always communicate. Best sign for a Gemini, believe it or not, is the opposite of the zodiac, the Sagittarians, because they are fiery and they're passionate, but they're intellectual. Sagittarians love to talk as well, as much as Gemini, so they'll have great conversation. They'll talk for hours. And the Sagittarians, a lot of times, because they have so much wisdom, will be able to direct the Gemini to where they need to be. And then we have the fixed air, which is Aquarius. Aquarians are put here to bring knowledge to the world. They are what we call the water bearers. Everyone thinks Aquarius is a water sign. It's not. It's an air sign. The symbol is the big jugs full of water, and that's symbolic of bringing wisdom to the world, bringing the water to you from the well, right, of wisdom. Aquarians are very deep, and they learn at a slower pace. They operate at a slower pace. Unlike other air signs, Aquarian air, being fixed air, is very, very future-oriented. So if you are a person who is stuck in your past or talks about the past a lot, an Aquarian will never really want to be around you. They are future fixated. They want to build. They want to plan. What's your 10-year plan? Where do you want to be in 5 years? That's Aquarian energy, and that's your air signs, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. So now what goes with what? Well, Earth sometimes goes really well with Earth, right? That's your Capricorn, your Virgo, and your Libras. Sometimes they do well with each other because it's a comfort. Earth and Earth is comforting. They're the same. They're similar. They're the same traits. But sometimes Earth on Earth will be a little bit boring and after a while feel very dragged down. So Earth is better with sometimes water because think about it. We water the Earth, right? And plants grow, nourishment. Earth sometimes is also good with air because Earth and air will usually talk for hours. So Earth, again, is your Taurus. I'm getting so confused tonight. Earth signs are your Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. They would do well with your air signs, which are Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. So earth and air is good because they'll also be very practical and Air a lot of times also has a hard time with boundaries. You know, for those of you out there who are Libras, and you know that you sometimes do say yes to things you really don't want to do because you're like afraid to say no because you don't have a boundary. Well, Earth will set you straight on those things. So having an Earth partner for a Libran air sign is really good. Same with Gemini. Sometimes there's no boundaries. So having an Earth partner can be good for that. Fire and fire. Okay. Fire and fire is, think JR and Sue Ellen. For those of you who used to watch Dynasty. What was that one? Dallas. I always get them confused. For those of you who used to watch Dallas. It's eruptive, it's volcanic, think about fire, and fire is just burning out of control. Well, it's hot and spicy in the bedroom, and you're going to have the best sex of your life, fire and fire. But that doesn't last because you end up consuming each other, burning each other out, destroying each other. It's just this very tempestuous thing. But again, I'm being very general tonight. If there are other things in the chart and it's fire and fire, it could work really well. Like my ex-husband was a double fire sign, and I have a rising fire sign, but I also have earth and water in my chart. So we were very good together for a very long time. It was a great match as far as that attraction and desire to be together. Then other things happen. But also fire and earth can be good, except that sometimes fire tires of earth. So if you think about it, the fire signs, Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, they're go, 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 go. And earth sometimes does like to sit home and lay on the couch. Or earth will be like, oh, do we have to go to another party? We went to 3 this week. And the fire sign is like, damn, Skippy straight, we're going to another party. So fire and earth, while it's steady and it's sometimes, compatible, it gets boring. It's usually not very long-lived. Fire also does not like to be contained or have boundaries all the time. So an earth with a fire sign, not so good sometimes, And fire and air, the same thing as fire and fire. Fire and air will be good together. Like your Leos and your Libras are always attracted to each other. They just love each other so much because fire feeds air, feeds fire, and fire, combusts air. But the thing is that they're not grounded. So what happens with like Leo, Libra, or Sagittarius, Sagittarius, Gemini, which is probably the best fire air sign is Sag Gem. What'll happen is it's a good relationship and they genuinely like each other and there'll be a lot of attraction. But then as life comes in and it's more serious, it's like, oh, what do we do now? Like, who's going to pay this mortgage? Because air and fire are both like out there having a good time, Fire is like the king of the jungle, burning things down and having a gay old time. And air is just out there being social and gossipy and wonderful. And then they go home and there's a bill in the mailbox. And what happens? Who's doing that? So that's the thing with fire and air. There's like not the boundary to be physical in the physical plane. Yeah, see, someone just wrote in that Sagittarius and Aries has the same moral values. Very true, because you're fire, and you're gonna be compatible in that regard. You like the same things. You like to do the same things. You will also have the same opinions. Like if you watch a news program or something, you'll come away with the same opinion because it's that fire. And the good thing about the Aries fire and the Sagittarius fire is Sag is mutable. So it will be more amenable to doing what Sag wants. In other words, doing what Aries wants. In other words, you've got Aries fire and Sag fire. Aries is going to be the boss, and Sag is going to put her fire where Aries wants the fire to be, and that'll get really cool. But again, it's a lot of fire, so you got to be careful you don't get tempestuous. Oh my gosh, Sarah, you're all fire. See, that's why you need to ground. You need to walk by the water every once in a while, because if you're that much fire in your chart, you're going to want to just put yourself ground a little bit and ground a little bit with some water. And that's the other thing. Even aside from relationships and your elements and how they go together, think about your own elements in your chart. Like I'm pretty balanced because I have fire, water, air, but I'm always seeking earth. That's why I do well with earth partners or partners who have some kind of earth in their chart. because I'm more stable with them. I love the comfort of stability. But if you look at your chart, you can get a free chart on astro.com or cafeastrology.com. And when you look at that chart, look at your elements. You know, what is your rising and your moon and your sun sign? Are they all water? Do you have a lot of earth? If you have a lot of earth in your chart or a lot of fire in your chart, you may be more apt to go and walk by the ocean just so that you can ground with that. I had a client come to me one time and his whole chart was all water. And he goes, well, I like to walk by the water. I'm like, no. You need to go walk in the woods and you're going to feel grounded because you need to bring earth into your natural habitat. You're all water. And he started doing that for a little while, and all of a sudden he was a lot more grounded and he could think straighter and he felt like he wasn't so boundless. So look at the elements in your chart and see what you need and what you crave. It's not only going to show you where to direct yourself for partnerships, but it's also going to help you understand your own makeup, your own relationship with the physical world, and what element do you need to bring into your life and your energy in order to feel more balanced. And also think about fire and air. It's oxygen and flame. So fire and air, again, it's good for a little while if you need to feed the fire in order to nourish yourself or cook food, but then the fire doesn't want to be burnt out of control. And fire and water, as I said, can be very dramatic, but water will extinguish the fire. And then also with a fire-water mix, water is emotional, water is sensitive. So a lot of times they'll have scalded emotions. You know, the water sign will come away feeling like, what just happened? Why were they so mean to me? Because they're a fire sign. They're burning things up, man. They're burning, baby, burn. So I think I'm funny tonight. So, so if anybody has any other comments, I'm going to go back in and see. So I hope this wasn't too confusing for you guys. I think it is fine. And if you guys keep coming to my live events monthly, which we're also going to do on pay-per-view, when I run down the whole month every month, you're going to be astrology pros by the time we're done. So nobody called into the show tonight. You still have a couple of minutes to call in if you want to. Number is 516-945-9099. So what else was I going to say? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to pull a couple of cards to end the night. And these cards are going to be Cancer and Taurus compatibility. Like, Cancer and Taurus might actually be pretty good. The one thing you will have in common with Cancer and Taurus is you will both be very sensual. And by that I mean you'll like earthly pleasures, you'll like a good meal, you'll like the massages, you'll like the fine wine. You're going to be very much wrapped up in that kind of thing. Like to do a couples weekend where you have massages and are pampered, Cancer Taurus would just be amazing in that environment. Cancer is a mutable water sign and Taurus is fixed. So as long as that Cancer energy isn't too independent, I think that it would get along really well with the Taurus energy. Because Taurus likes to put things in a boundary. They like to have things in a box. They like their creature comforts. Taurus doesn't like change very much. The only thing is Taurus can be the literal bull in a china shop. So a Taurus with a Cancer is going to have to learn to curb that Taurian tongue sometimes. Taurians sometimes say whatever's on their mind, and Cancers are very sensitive. But together, it's a good combo. And Marilyn Pisano says, sensual thing with me and Cancer and my Virgo. Yeah, I think Cancer and Virgo would be also very similar to Cancer and Taurus. It's going to be that sensuality, compatibility. You're going to really love, it's like the whipped cream and strawberries. So you're going to be like, oh my God, this is great. But again, you have to watch because water can saturate the earth. So you really, have to look at the charts. But generally speaking, I think it could be a good combo. But that water is going to have to temper themselves, that Cancer, and that they're not being too sensitive. Because Taurus doesn't really like to talk about feelings. They like to feel their feelings, but they don't like to talk about them so much. So I'm actually going to pick a couple of cards just for where the general energy is right now in the world. And it's interesting that I just got this card because I do feel like we are absolutely at a place of rebirth in the world. I'm going to do a special about Pluto being into the United States, being into its Pluto return. and which is going to affect globally, I think, everything. But look at this beautiful soul card that I just picked out for the energy in the world. And if you look at this, it's rebirth, right? You can see this embryonic, like almost like a new world being born. And we're definitely in a time now where we're all being asked to absorb more light and come into a new world, a new earth. And this is one of my favorite soul cards because of all the many hands in it. And I don't know if you can actually see it on camera, but there's a prayerful hands underneath the pregnant belly like this, almost as though they're ready to catch the birth and also praying. And then there's hands caressing this beautiful new egg, this new earth, this new fertilization. And then you have hands up in prayer. And it's just so beautiful because I take this as above, so below, the hands raised to the heavens, you know, surrendering to whatever comes in from the heavens. And then the hands being grateful and gratitude around this beautiful new earth, the new embryonic energy. And then these beautiful hands below saying, we're ready for whatever comes. I feel like this is a card of surrender, and I feel like it's a card of optimism and hope that we have this beautiful new time coming in for us, especially this beautiful, almost looks like water or soul or earth. It could be whatever kind of embryonic energy you want. And then all the light around the head. I'm going to pick another soul card for this beautiful energy of the world right now. And I got another one of my very most favorite soul cards. And this card has all this energy coming out of the head. And as you can see, a lot of heads and a lot of energetic beings coming out of the head of this soul. And when I look at this, it is definitely for me a reminder not to allow media to sway what I do in life and to really attend to our own life. And if you look at the peaceful expression on the face in this card, no matter what's coming out of the head, whatever thoughts are churning, whatever rumination is happening, we have a very peaceful soul just in the light. And so I think that's really important and indicative of where we're at now. And except for my beautiful show Soul Space, Mondays at 7 p.m., turn off media. Just kidding. Because a lot of media that's out there we don't really need to listen to. Not everything out there deserves our attention. Yeah, you can do that. Re-listen to the show and write everyone down. That would be great, Sarah. And now I'm going to pick a tarot card for the world energy as we go into the holidays. And don't forget, the 13th, next Monday, we're going to do a drum circle live here. So come and sit with me and bring your instruments, and we'll have a beautiful, beautiful time, just, you know, having that time. And also, I wanted to tell you that on the 13th, that's the drum circle. On the 20th, I've got Phoenix Green coming in. And here we have this card of amazing, amazing abundance for us. So that's how I'm going to end the show. Beautiful abundance and light to everyone. You can find me on Zenkuda Official on Instagram, Georgia Rose Zenkuda on Facebook, and also right here every Monday night at 7 p.m. And if you want to stay tuned on Strong Island Television, you can watch Tea Time with Teresa's coming up, and I'll see you next Monday at 7 o'clock. Thanks a lot, everybody.